This evening, President Ali urges swift action to address technical worker shortage at GPL. Join us as we explore the President's call for urgent measures to rectify the human technical capacity deficit within GPL. Plus, Wildfire's crisis in Santa Mission prompts swift evacuation measures. Stay tuned for updates on the technical situation in Santa Mission, where firefighters are struggling to access affected areas, prompting the evacuation of residents to ensure their safety and well-being. And historical seizure. Narco submarine intercepted off Ghana's coast with over 5,000 pounds of cocaine. We'll discuss the landmark interception of a narco submarine carrying a substantial quantity of cocaine, highlighting collaborative efforts between U.S. and Guyanese authorities to combat illicit trafficking. Also, Guyanese athletes shine at Carifta Games, securing highest medal count ever. Join us as we celebrate the historic success of Guyanese athletes at the 51st Carifta Games, acknowledging their outstanding performance and the government's commitment to sport development. Additionally, Colombia and Panama criticized for failing to protect migrants in Darien Gap. We'll delve into the findings of a new Human Rights Watch report highlighting challenges faced by migrants crossing the treacherous Darien Gap between Colombia and Panama. Stay tuned for these stories and more. Welcome to this broadcast of Channel 2's Headline News Update for April 4th, 2024. I am Vivi Bacchus. Thank you for joining us. First up, President Ali calls for urgent action to address technical worker shortage at GPL. President Ali has highlighted the urgent need to address the human technical capacity deficit within the Ghana Power and Light Company, stressing that operational deficiencies must be rectified urgently. He said they do not have enough technical workers such as engineers and technicians, and that this shortage is affecting the company's operation. The president emphasized the need to recruit more engineers, technicians, and linesmen to meet the growing electricity demand and overcome challenges such as aged infrastructure and insufficient transmission redundancy. GPL generates 165 megawatts at peak hours, falling short of the demand of 220 megawatts. To bridge this gap, discussions have been initiated with UK Export Finance to fund a new transmission line to Linden. The existing transmission upgrades will be financed internally. Additionally, efforts are underway to operationalize new power plants with 28.9 megawatts already installed and more expected to come online soon. On Tuesday, President Ali engaged with Power Producers and Distributors Incorporated and Wärtsilä, the two companies that work alongside GPL to supply power through Ghana's main power grid, the Demerara-Berbice interconnection system. The head of state expressed dissatisfaction with their performance during the meeting, urging them to explore alternative power supply options until the multi-billion gas-to-energy plant being developed in Wales Region 3 is fully operational. When completed, the plant will provide roughly 300 megawatts of power, significantly improving GPL's operations efficiency. In other news, the Ghana Fire Service has issued an urgent update regarding the wildfire crisis in Santa Mission. The ongoing fire crisis in Santa Mission has reached a critical point, rendering it impossible for firefighters to access the affected area for extinguishing efforts. As a result, the focus has shifted to ensuring the safety and well-being of the residents through swift evacuation measures. The dense smoke emanating from the fire has prompted the evacuation of 38 individuals from Santa Mission and the neighboring village. Due to the severity of the situation, 34 evacuees have found temporary shelters at the Tamiri Primary School, while their relatives are accommodating the remaining 4. The Ghana Fire Service noted that the safety and security of the affected residents remain their top priority. Firefighters, members of the Joint Service, and volunteers are working tirelessly to manage the situation and provide the necessary support to the fire victims. The Ghana Fire Service said further updates will be provided as the situation unfolds. On a different note, a narco submarine, a self-propelled semi-submersible vessel, was intercepted off the coast of Guyana carrying over 5,000 pounds of cocaine. The interception occurred on March 21st, about 150 miles offshore. According to a statement from the United States Embassy in Georgetown, the seizure of the vessel was the result of collaborative efforts between the Drug Enforcement Agency, the Joint Interagency Task Force South, Guyana Customs Anti-Narcotics Unit, and the United States Coast Guard. The USS Light Gulf, a guided missile cruiser of the U.S. Navy, conducted the interception, leading to the arrest of 4 individuals and the confiscation of the cocaine. The U.S. authorities have announced that the landmark seizure will be prosecuted in the United States. The statement emphasized the ongoing commitment of the U.S. government to support Guyana and its Caribbean partners in enhancing their capacity to combat illicit trafficking and transnational crime for the betterment of citizen security. Stick around when we return. Constitutional Reform Commission gets new leaders and historic success for Guyanese athletes at 51st Caribbean Games.
Not a single bar of service.
Not with us. Digicel officially has the best mobile coverage in Guyana. Ookla, the company behind Speed Test, recognizes Digicel as the network with the best mobile coverage in Guyana. Be it in Aishalton or in Etteringbang, we got you covered.
Digicel, the award-winning network for everyone, everywhere.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny?
I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, Lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Furnishing your home or office has never been easier. Here at Kissoon's, our inventory of locally made and imported furniture, offered at amazing prices, will leave you wanting more. From vinyl, floor rugs and carpets, bedroom, dining and living room sets, mattresses, pillows, office desk, chairs and filing cabinets, outdoor benches and tables. We have a piece of furniture for every room imaginable in your home or office. Check out our flagship store at Industrial Site Rijnveld or one of our branches in New Amsterdam, Port Morant, Riverton and Camp Street. Kissoon's Furniture, furnishing homes for over 50 years.
Speak clearly with a gift of sight from Modern Optical Services. Let our professional team examine and prescribe what's best for your eyes. Common Smiles make fashionable faces. See us for a full line of optical services, including brand name and prescription eyewear. Modern Optical Services, 316 Mill Street, Georgetown, telephone 226-1082.
Welcome back. New commissioners of the Constitutional Reform Commission were sworn in yesterday by President Dr. Muhammad Irfan Ali. The newly appointed commissioners have been urged to modernize the country's law to address contemporary challenges diligently. President Ali emphasized their crucial role in shaping the nation's future. The commission, led by Justice Karl Singh, comprises government officials and representatives from various sectors. Their tasks include reviewing the Constitution, implementing electoral reforms, and ensuring citizens' rights. This initiative fulfills the long-standing promise of constitutional reform made by political parties, now initiated by the current administration. Moving on. Guyanese athletes achieved historic success at the 51st Carifta Games in Grenada, securing the highest medal count ever recorded. Minister of Culture, Youth and Sports Charles Ramson Jr. commended the 25 athletes for their outstanding performance and expressed optimism for the future of Ghana's sporting endeavors. Minister Ramson celebrated the athletes' achievements during a red carpet welcome at the Chedijangan International Airport, emphasizing their impact on the nation and their potential for future success. He announced that he would establish an elite training program featuring Olympic coaches from the United States, which is scheduled to commence in August. Additionally, efforts are underway to secure scholarships for athletes and coaches to attend overseas universities, further enhancing Ghana's sports development. The sport minister also highlighted the government's significant investment in sports, particularly in sprint disciplines, which has yielded tangible results, including the country's first Olympic track and field medals. Addressing logistical concerns, the minister reported successfully establishing a robust system for athletes' departure from the country, ensuring smooth transitions for future events. Furthermore, all medal-winning athletes will receive a monthly stipend as part of the ministry's ongoing support program to nurture and sustain the nation's sporting talent. In other news, 8 small business owners with permanent disabilities received financial funding on Wednesday through the government's revolving fund, a collaboration between the Ministry of Human Services and Social Security and the Ministry of Tourism, Industry and Commerce Small Business Bureau. The initiative aims to address the unique challenges faced by people with disabilities in accessing financial assistance, particularly loans. Ministers Dr. Vinny Prasad and Wanid Waldron expressed their commitment to inclusivity and the development of every citizen through initiatives like this. The program offers accessible loans up to $500,000 with zero interest and no collateral requirements, aiming to empower business owners living with disabilities. The recipients all expressed gratitude for the interest-free loans they received. Don't go away after the break. Sunak calls for investigation at British aid workers killed in Israeli airstrike, and Russia vetoed extension of UN watchdog for North Korea.
Experience more than award-winning speed. Way more. Get the best that LTE has to offer on Digicel, officially the fastest mobile network in Guyana. Ookla, the company behind Speedtest, recognizes Digicel as the best mobile network in Guyana. With the best LTE experience and the fastest data speeds, experience it all with
Digicel, the award-winning network for everyone, everywhere.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny? I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, Lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again. Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Sneakily with a gift of sight from Modern Optical Services. Let our professional team examine and prescribe what's best for your eyes. Hurry Smiles make fashionable faces. See us for a full line of optical services, including brand name and prescription eyewear. Modern Optical Services, 316 Middle Street, Georgetown. Telephone 226-1082.
Furnishing your home or office has never been easier. Here at Kissoon's, our inventory of locally made and imported furniture, offered at amazing prices, will leave you wanting more. From vinyl, floor rugs and carpets, bedroom, dining and living room sets, mattresses, pillows, office desk, chairs and filing cabinets, outdoor benches and tables. We have a piece of furniture for every room imaginable in your home or office. Check out our flagship store at Industrial Site Rijnveld or one of our branches in New Amsterdam, Port Morant, Riverton and Camp Street. Kissoon's Furniture, furnishing homes for over 50 years.
Welcome back. Now we take a look at what's happening in the region and around the world. A new Human Rights Watch report says Colombia and Panama are failing to protect migrants crossing the treacherous Darien Gap. Hundreds of thousands of people flee through the natural divide between the two countries every year. Al Jazeera's Manuel Rapallo reports.
More than 500,000 migrants crossed the Darien Gap last year, the infamous jungle that connects Colombia and Panama. According to a new report by Human Rights Watch, both countries have failed to do enough to protect migrants as they transit through rough terrain.
The obligations that both the Colombian and Panamanian states have, in accordance with their international obligations, have to do with guaranteeing the life and integrity of individuals within their territories, regardless of nationality.
Investigators say Panama and Colombia should do a better job coordinating a response to the worsening humanitarian crisis in the region. Most migrants are from Venezuela, Ecuador, and Haiti, along with other nationalities from Asia and Africa. Here, investigators say migrants face a litany of risks, including sexual assault, kidnapping, and death.
The lack of a clear strategy with international cooperation and losing the ability to provide attention in border areas has led to criminal groups being the ones to manage the dynamics of migration.
The new report also criticized both countries for failing to investigate and punish crimes committed against migrants. Investigators say it's imperative that policies to protect migrants and asylum seekers take precedence over policies that seek to contain them.
We are witnessing how more people are choosing more dangerous routes. What we should do as a region is establish regional strategies for the protection and assistance of migrants, recognizing that the migration phenomenon exists and will remain.
The recommendations published by Human Rights Watch seek to address deficiencies in migrant protections, as well as enhance multilateral actions to protect the human rights of migrants across the Americas. Manuel Rapallo, Al Jazeera.
Internationally, the death of 3 British aid workers in the Israeli airstrikes on the World Central Kitchen workers has provoked near universal condemnation in the UK. The British government has called for a full investigation, and some politicians says the UK should suspend arms sales to Israel. Al Jazeera's Sonia Gallego reports.
The shock and anger against the latest wave of Israeli attacks in Gaza, this time on the streets of London. Medics in solidarity with Palestinians blockaded the headquarters of Palantir, the software company supplying technology to Israel's military, calling for an immediate end to its activities there. The killing of humanitarian aid workers received international condemnation. Israel's allies, including the UK, demanded answers.
The situation is increasingly intolerable, and what we urgently need to see is a thorough, transparent investigation into what has happened, but also a dramatic increase in the amount of aid getting into Gaza.
The aid workers killed: James Henderson, who'd served for 6 years in the Royal Marines; John Chapman, a former member of the British Special Forces; and Army veteran Paul Kirby, who was 47 years old. All were providing security support. Kirby's cousins described him as completely selfless.
He just wanted to help people. He knew that if he didn't go, then someone else would go, and that would probably play on his mind. So James wasn't one of those people that would just sit back.
After more than 5 months of conflict, public opinion on the soaring casualties is piling pressure on politicians to act. Opinion polls have consistently shown that more people are in favour of a ceasefire than not, and the killing of aid workers in an Israeli airstrike is now prompting outrage, even in traditionally right-wing papers of the British press. Some are seeing this moment as a tipping point in the UK's previously rock-solid support for Israel. The UK government has called for Israel to follow international law. It continues to maintain what Prime Minister Sunak calls a very careful arms licensing arrangement. Human rights groups say that has to end.
We've been calling on the UK government for months to be suspending all of those licenses as part of our international calls for a full-scale arms embargo on all sides to the current conflict.
As the bodies of the victims are repatriated, the shadow of this strike weighs heavily on organisations working to help a region devastated by this conflict. Sonia Gallego, Al Jazeera, London.
Finally, a UN watchdog responsible for monitoring sanctions violations in North Korea will see its mandate expire at the end of this month. That's after Russia vetoed an extension at the UN Security Council. That's raising concerns about the potential breaches at a time when relations between Moscow and Pyongyang are growing stronger. Al Jazeera's Eunice Kim reports.
Korea was not in the room, but it was the vote's biggest winner.
The draft resolution has not been adopted owing to the negative vote of a permanent member of the Council.
Last week, its ally Russia blocked the annual renewal of an experts panel responsible for investigating violations of sanctions against North Korea and its nuclear and ballistic missile program. Moscow's UN envoy argued the panel, which produces 2 reports each year for the Security Council, had become weaponized to serve the West's interests. China abstained in a marked shift from its unanimous approval of the past 14 years. Washington vehemently condemned Russia's move.
Its veto today was a self-interested effort to bury the panel's reporting on its own collusion with the DPRK to secure weapons that it can use to further its aggression against Ukraine.
This week, North Korea showed off a gliding, solid-fueled mid- to long-range hypersonic ballistic missile, harder to track and disable, the latest gains of its wider weapons upgrade. As fast-warming ties between Pyongyang and Moscow since their leader summit last year has led to reports of significant arms deals to fuel the Ukraine war, South Korea is taking its own action, sanctioning Russian boats suspected of transporting weapons from North Korea and companies the foreign ministry says are facilitating jobs for North Korean workers earning foreign currency for their government.
I will emphasize the imposing of illegitimate sanctions will provoke negative consequences in terms of relations with Russia.
It's a risk Seoul is increasingly willing to take alongside Tokyo and Washington. While the North Korean sanctions remain, analysts say their enforcement will become even more difficult, with no clear alternative to the UN monitoring team. Eunice Kim, Al Jazeera, Seoul.
This brings us to the end of our regional and global news coverage. Up next is the 3D weather forecast. And that's Safe TV2 Headline News for this Thursday evening. As we take our leave, we invite you to follow us on Facebook and YouTube. You can tune in tomorrow at 6:30 a.m. for a rebroadcast and at 5:30 p.m. for more news. Until then, please take care of yourself and each other.